This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Bruschi,
featuring retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer.
Jennifer Crumbley, the mother of the Michigan school shooter, taking the stand at the involuntary manslaughter trial where she is facing and being charged with the involuntary manslaughter charges after her son, Ethan Crumbley, killed 4 students in the Oxford High School in 2021. This is a case that certainly has the potential to be precedent-setting going forward and even reaching into the past, possibly, for other parents of school shooters. What could it possibly mean going forward? Here to discuss, Jennifer Coffindaffer, retired FBI Special Agent. Let's talk about just that. What could the repercussions to this be should Jennifer Crumbley be found guilty and be charged with involuntary manslaughter because of the actions of her son?
This will be a huge precedent if it's set, because it's going to put gun owners, not only just gun owners who have school shooters, or a child go out and commit a school shooting, but that their gun wasn't properly safeguarded, used in any sort of crime. This is really, really a big precedent that they will set. But that's the general overview. I think very specifically now, to hold parents accountable for their children's actions, that's big if that occurs. And in this case, I mean, all they have to do is really prove gross negligence. And it's kind of screaming off the page a little bit, Tony.
Yeah.
In a way, it does seem clear, though. And when I was listening to this testimony, I got to tell you, she was just an ostrich putting her head in the sand, throwing her hands up. We know, that there was past CPS involvement, I think more to do with neglect and things like that. So there's been problems on the horizon for that family, but it just seems to me they just didn't know who their son was at all, and maybe didn't even care.
That's what it kind of is feeling like. I mean, obviously, people do not necessarily like to be held accountable for things that aren't necessarily in a positive light, this certainly not being one of them. But if you dig even deeper into it, beyond just the fact that their son went and shot up a school, they would have to be taking a deeper look at their parenting, at the relationships that they have with their child that allowed this atmosphere to essentially create the monster that it did. And that's something that a lot of parents and people in general are not going to want to do. And I think, and sometimes maybe even incapable of doing. Are we dealing with someone here who, is one of those individuals that they're incapable of seeing things in a responsible light, or incapable of being a responsible parent to begin with?
Well, I think you're right. So we know that apparently there's been past issues with alcoholism, which of course can affect parenting massively. It seems that both parents, though, were hard workers, trying to make a living, that their jobs were important. They were responsible in that regard. I just found the one thing that was said in text messages that they went through, the individual who analyzed everything digitally, it shocked me that her response to the pictures on the math page, I mean, clearly showing these homicidal problems. And her answer was, you know what, I'm going to go horseback riding after work. And she calls the person that had the horses and said, hey, can you find one for Ethan? Essentially make sure it's a small one. I don't want him to be intimidated. I mean, she just seems clueless. This is, just within a half an hour after this meeting that, her son's, doing these sorts of drawings. Added on to that, everything else, Tony, that they knew about her, their son.
Very much someone that seems to have put their head in the sand and pretended that their son was not capable of doing these things, or was not even the person that he was exhibiting himself to be directly underneath their nose.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.